So you drove an hour and 15 minutes. Was it worth it?
100%, yeah. It is my mom's bucket list to see Trump. She loves him, and we love him. We're proud supporters.
Very good energy inside there. I mean, everybody knew that when he came out that we were gonna hear what he has in mind for America.
The thing that I loved that he did talk about was Molly Tibbins, who is from Iowa, and she was murdered. They found her body, and it was from an illegal.
You heard about today with the illegal alien coming in, very sadly from Mexico, and you saw what happened to that incredible, beautiful young woman.
I'm glad that he touched on that, and he, spoke about her story, because that's touching. We're from Iowa originally. We were born and raised, so that was heartfelt right there.
When I hear that kind of political rhetoric, I sometimes think to myself, well, there are left-handed people who commit crimes. There are people with freckles who commit crimes. If we, in a country of 330 million people, pointed out every time a left-handed person with freckles committed crimes, it probably wouldn't be a high percentage of the overall crimes. But if you focused on those, then it would seem like we really need to do something about left-handed people with freckles. And so when you do that, except for you're using something that's kind of tinged with racial implications, that sometimes gives me pause. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
I absolutely understand, and it's sad that we do single out different people for that reason. But I don't focus so much on the crime coming into the United States from other countries, because we have it here.
I didn't bring up the story as to, talk about how he was talking about illegals and this and that. I brought up the story because, that hits close to our heart, because it hits home, and it's, and he, they just found her, and he already knew the story. He was already up on it, so he knows about the American people and the ones that these tragedies are happening in their lives.
An earlier interview with some fans of Alex Jones, I'm not sure if you know who he is, he was defending Alex Jones for saying that we really shouldn't be focusing on these gun massacres. We shouldn't be talking about the victims of massacres. But isn't that very similar? The president wants a certain sentiment among his base and among other Americans about immigration, and so he focuses on these tragic events. And then there are other politicians who would like to see stricter gun control laws, and so they spend more time talking about the victims of school shootings. I'm not sure how you feel about guns, but would you afford the same sort of appreciation to a politician who got in front of an arena full of people and talked about the victims of the Parkland shooting?
I think they're all worth mentioning. A victim is a victim, no matter what happened to you, no matter your race, no matter your sexual orientation, no matter anything. They all should be, stood up for and talked about, and their memories should live on, no matter what it is.
You do see that when you bring up the victims of Parkland, you're not just saying, I remember the victims, you're saying there should be stricter gun control laws. And when you bring up those people in this country who have been victimized by illegal immigrants, you're not just saying, oh, let's remember the victims, you're saying we want stricter laws on immigration.
I don't believe anybody should use shootings, the loss of lives, to promote their agenda. That is, to me, you can bring up so many times that there was mass shootings, people being killed, to promote what you have on your mind. But in the end, I don't believe in gun control. I believe that if we do have gun control, the guns are going to fall into the wrong hands, and the people that need them aren't going to have them. So, yeah, it is sad that we have the mass shootings, and I believe it's going to continue to happen. But and as far as promoting your agenda for illegal aliens, finding a reason to build the wall, that's using these people for an agenda. I don't believe in doing that either. But I do believe in border security and people coming in here and being well documented and being able to really use the services that the United States has to offer them. When they come in illegally, they have to hide undercover.
It sounds like you support comprehensive immigration reform.
I really do. In fact, I sponsored my former son-in-law. He came from Mexico. We paid the fines for him coming illegally, and they were not cheap. We paid everything that we had to pay to keep him here, and he lives in Seattle, Washington to this day, and he's been a wonderful father to my granddaughter.
So you're still in touch then?
Absolutely. Every holiday I get a text from him, I get a phone call. In fact, he just flew in from Seattle 2 years ago. So yeah, I love him dearly.
You know, my brother-in-law, he's always been nothing but super nice, and the only thing he ever wanted over here was just to have a good life and to raise his daughter with morals and values and everything, you know, that Americans represent. And he definitely represents that. Like, if you were to talk to him and, you know, get his viewpoints on things, you wouldn't know that he was from a different country. He was born and raised in a different country and came over here illegally. You wouldn't know that.
A vote for any Democrat in November is a vote to eliminate immigration enforcement, throw open our borders, and set loose vicious predators and violent criminals. They'll be all over our communities. They will be preying on our communities.
This is why I want to come back to the thing that you chose to say that you liked about the rally. I'm just guessing, because I've been to a lot of Trump events, that the person who committed the crime is probably someone with dark skin who might, you know, have a somewhat of a similar phenotype to your brother-in-law. You know, is when politicians use our fear of the other. They use our fear that people who don't look like us are somehow naturally inclined to want to hurt us. I don't necessarily feel that politicians should be lauded for that.
Oh, absolutely not. Because they're trying to promote their agenda, and then they're singling out a certain type of people. You know, to me, it falls back on racial profiling, and I just don't like it. I don't believe in it, and I think it's very unfair to the whole culture or the whole race of the people that they're singling out.
You wouldn't know that my brother-in-law was an illegal at one point. You wouldn't know that. Just like I wouldn't know if somebody was, you know, dangerous or not. You know, with him having the travel ban, I think that was great, because you lock your door every night on your house. You lock it, and because you're trying to keep the people that you love on the inside safe.
You also support the travel ban?
I am in support of the travel ban only to the countries that we are still having problems with. And
regardless of religion?
Irregardless of religion. I believe in freedom of religion. Anybody is allowed to practice their religion, no matter what it may be.